It's Woody season. We're back with another important episode. God is good. I'm here
All the time.
all the time.
God is
you
good.
know. Let me read that shirt again. Wounded but not broken. You know,
for sure.
and that's your clothing line, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And this is Sean Ellis. Can't clap for Sean Ellis, man. This dude right here, you a survivor. Man. You are a warrior, brother.
Absolutely.
Your story is very important. I'm happy you gave me the opportunity to even, give me this interview. BNF this interview. This is big for me. I appreciate you. This is big for the culture. Who is Sean Ellis? Tell us who is Sean Ellis, man.
Before I get into Sean Ellis, I just want to say that I appreciate you too. You know what I'm saying, because it's like the different opportunities that's provided to be able to speak to the people about the struggle that I've been through in life. And in particular, at the hands of the Boston police, you know what I'm saying? It's the people need to know what's going on within the criminal law system. So, I appreciate you too.
And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to hear your story. Even though a lot of people are familiar with with the documentary about you, Trial 4. A great documentary, by the way. But we're here today to clarify and hear your story from you.
Yeah.
So you went through a lot of tribulations. You're here today. You faced a lot of obstacles. So I want to start from the beginning. Tell us again, who is Sean Ellis?
So I've been asked that question a few times. And each time I'm asked that question, I answer it in different ways because I continue to evolve. I'm not the person that I was when I was born. I'm not the person that I was 10 years ago. I'm not the person that I was five years ago. My expiration date hasn't come yet, so I just continue to grow. But tonight, the space that I'm in, when you say who is Sean Ellis? Sean Ellis is a survivor.
Survivor, a warrior. You're a warrior to me.
Right, definitely.
I would have been gave up. I like fuck that. I'm guilty. I don't got time for it. You gotta be a different type of dude to really be. You showed a lot of resilience.
Yeah, and I have to attribute that to the God that I serve, man. But also, I definitely have to contribute that to my mom. My mom raises me to be a fighter. Like she didn't raise me to give up or give in to wrong that was being done to me.
Is your mom still here with us today?
Fortunately, she is. She's still here. She's a cancer survivor. She's
and
definitely
your mom watching the documentary, learning about your mother. Your mom is also a warrior and a survivor because she dealt with her own personal battles and she overcame that.
Right.
And shout out to Mom Dukes, your Mom Dukes for that.
Yeah, Ma, I love you, Ma.
Yeah, that's dope. That's
definitely
dope. That's dope.
Yeah, and what I appreciate about me and my mom is that we didn't always have the best of relationships. You know what I'm saying? Because as she was going through her struggles, I was a teenager being judgmental. Mm-hmm. And more so, I seen the people. I seen what her struggles was doing to people in the neighborhood, and that's not something that I wanted for my mom. So, I was very judgmental of her.
Yeah.
And to have her hair still and to have seen her deal with what she dealt with
and overcome
it.
Now a lot of people come back from that.
A lot of people come back.
That's like a disease,
Definitely.
And a lot of people struggle with addiction, different type of addiction, but people who are strong enough, mentally tough enough to overcome that, I salute them.
I took this course as a recovery coach that I was doing for my job. And what that helped me to do was get a different perspective, not only of my mom, because my perspective of my mom and her struggles changed while I was incarcerated, but, when I see people down on Masters Ave or as what we're calling Methadone Mile, I look at them different, you know what I'm saying? Because it is a disease.
It is a disease.
And it's a disease that involves chemicals, and so, I don't look at them, the people that's going through that with a whole lot of judgment. It's more compassion,
and it's easy to pass judgment on these
definitely
people.
It's easy to pass judgment. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at the judgment that was passed on me back in '93.
Let's talk about '93, which is a very important year for you. Growing up in the '90s as a black man living in Boston, how was the '90s?
The '90s in Boston was a dangerous time in Boston. It wasn't safe in Boston. The crime rate was extremely high. And some of the crime that was being done was being done by the police themselves. So
Yeah.
it's like Boston was wild back in the '90s.
You face any racism? I know this is a rhetorical question. Of course, you're a black man living in Boston. We're known as a racist city. But did you face any racism during the '90s?
I mean, it's like in my community, amongst the people that lived in my community, but when you look at the way that Dorchester, Roxbury, Mattapan, and some parts of the South End were being policed, it was being policed in a way where the police was occupying the neighborhood, violating rights of citizens within the neighborhoods, and so when you look at that, and you understand the history of the police, and of Boston, and of the Boston police, then there is no way that one can. Well, I wouldn't be able to sit here and say that you can be black in Boston, a black teenager in Boston in particular, and not experience some degree of racism.
Exactly. How was your experience with police growing up?
My experience with police is I wasn't a problematic child. You know what I mean? My mom didn't raise me to be that way.
And you're a solid dude, Sean. I watch your documentary, and you're the type of dude who does not talk to police. They said even when they had your uncle speaking on there, it said Sean's not talking to you. So I know you don't got no rat in your blood. You super solid with me, Sean. So I know you a dude who don't play those type of games with police.
Right. Well, it's really when you look at the black and brown communities. Black and brown communities kind of bring the children up in a way where it's like you really don't talk to police because
you don't trust them.
You don't trust them. But that lack of trust isn't just a matter of the '90s. It's not just a matter of the sixth season, what happened with the different black empowerment movements that took place. The distrust between blacks and police go all the way back to slavery. Yeah, where you have the watchmen and the police, hunting down fugitive slaves just to put them back in the same condition that they were running away from, that they was illegally placed in. So I
understand during that time it's hard for a young black male to have a relationship and want to talk to a police officer and walk into a station and tell them whatever, because of that distrust and that disconnect between the black community and with police during that time.
And another thing that I noticed while in the black and brown communities, our children are raised in a certain way. I'm a product of the Metro school system, and in the Metro school system, I have a distinct memory of being a student at Pollard Middle School, and there being this officer friendly that I think it was one day out of the school year, but officer friendly came to the school and gave the stranger danger lesson, and but he had a Volkswagen buggy. Yeah, with a little smiley face on. Yeah. So the way that we're taught about policing and the two communities are total opposites.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's different. So let's talk about you. Growing up in the '90s, it was tough. It was racism. One night changed your life.
Forever.
September 26th, I believe. You walked into Walgreens. You went to go get a pair of diapers, and after that, your life changed. So I want you to walk through that day for you. Sometimes you wake up and you're like, yo, this is gonna be a bad day. This is gonna be a up situation. You get that vibe. Did you feel any of that vibe when you woke up, or was it just a normal day for Sean Ellis?
For me, it was a normal day for Sean Ellis. I didn't wake up that morning and have a thought in my mind that, all right, this day is gonna be the day where
that changes your life.
28 years of my life completely changes.
Yeah.
Just and I don't want to get ahead of you, but with the recent assenting to for my motion for Rule 30 that was assented to by Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, and in particular District Attorney Rollins, that kind of gave me some like glimmer of hope, if I can say hope, that you know how you look at a tombstone and you see the year you was born and then the year you died.
Yeah.
It's like I'm finally starting to be able to entertain the idea of there being an expiration date, if you will, of my legal battle. Dealing with this whole nightmare that I've been dealing with. Finally I'll be able to say from 1993 through whether it's 2001, whether it's 2002, or however long that it's gonna take, because I'm not gonna stop fighting.
And that's what's up.
But I'm finally starting to be able to kind of see
the expiration date,
some kind of expiration date manifest.
And you deserve that. So you go in there, get some diapers for your cousin, who's no longer with us. R.I.P. to her.
Yeah.
So you go into Walgreens, you get some diapers, you leave, you go about your business. You hear that a cop is murdered at the same Walgreens that you purchased the diapers. Are you thinking anything?
Not at all. I'm saying not at all. It's you see on the news, you see in the paper that a cop's murdered, but I'm saying it's like it doesn't involve you. It isn't your next of kin. It isn't your family. So you see it, you acknowledge it, but you're going about your day.
And did it ever hit you that I was there that night or not like that? It was just a regular day for you. You're not even tripping about it.
I mean, you don't necessarily think. I didn't necessarily think like, oh yeah, I was.
Yeah, you didn't process it.
I was there that night. Let me holler at the police and all that. It was just
another regular day in Boston.
You acknowledge
probably.
it.
Yeah.
You acknowledge it as something that does happen. Like, yo, damn. But it's like, it isn't that. Oh wow, I was there, and it's like you said, like another day in Boston, especially at that time.
So September 26th happens. You buy some diapers, a regular day for you. You buy it for your cousins. About a few days after that, you lose your cousins, and I know that must have been a hard time for you. Your cousins get murdered. I know you was close with was it Celine?
Celine, yeah.
Celine. I know you was very close with her.
I was close with both of them.
The other cousin was Tracy.
Tracy,
right?
yeah. Like we grew up together. Like we was raised together. My mother and their mother are sisters, and we grew up in the same projects. We spent the night at each other's house and all that. It was just.
Were you living with them? Cause okay.
Yeah,
I was
living with my cousin Tracy.
Yeah.
So I was close to both of them, but especially my cousin Celine. It's like me and her are around the same age.
So I know the death must have been very hard for you.
Yeah, it was very hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember not wanting to live, man, especially without my cousin Celine at the time.
I understand.
It was something hard for me to deal with.
Especially at a young age. You're 19 years old during this time. You're 19?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So fast forward a little bit after that, your cousins, get killed. Now they're asking you to come in for questioning because you live there. That's your family.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always gonna keep it real on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I never understood why, when you went in to talk about your cousins, you implemented yourself. The night of the murder on September 26th when the cop died.
Mm-hmm.
I believe his name is Mulligan.
Yeah.
Mulligan. And I always wonder, as a black man knowing the system, why would you ever implement yourself there? Even if you are innocent, even if you went there to buy diapers, knowing the Boston system, knowing the racist system that we're in, knowing the judicial system against black men, why would you place yourself there that night?
So, like, we gotta come from the premise that, for one, I was innocent. I'm saying I am innocent, and so I'm not looking at the interaction with the police as I gotta go and kind of hide or shy away from something. I'm saying there was no connection in my mind whatsoever between me and the murder of John Mulligan. So it's like no harm, no foul, so to speak. So I wasn't looking at it like I was putting myself in the middle of a situation that was going to take over 28 years to get out of.
But let's also talk about this, though. You're being questioned about your relative's murder, right? Mm-hmm. You're 19 years old. You're still young. Mm-hmm. You know, you're a child. You know, you're a teenager to me during that time, right? You're in a vulnerable state because you just lost your two cousins. Mm-hmm. So do you think the cops ever took advantage of you during that time without no lawyer present and talking to you so candidly, and you're being so candid and being so open about, yeah, I was there on the 26th, and how did it go from your cousins to a few nights before your cousins got murdered?
So you say you asked me, do I think they took advantage of me?
Yeah. Do you feel like you was taking advantage of being vulnerable during that time?
The past 28 years of my life is an indication that they took advantage of me. They took advantage of my naivety. They took advantage that I didn't have a lawyer present, and turned their questioning of me with regards to my cousins. They turned that into an interrogation into the murder of Mulligan. And I'm what the hell's going on here? I'm saying so.
It seems like the cops had their own agenda. It wasn't really about the loss of your cousins. It was really about finding the loss of their colleagues.
Right.
And
not even so much finding the loss of their colleagues, but more so, is there a way to deal with the murder of their colleagues so that it doesn't expose the wrongdoing that was going on?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, because Mulligan had a lot of skeletons in his closet, and he had a lot of friends on the force too that was trying to protect themselves. You know, so moving forward, I know now, you know, I'm kind of, you know, moving a little bit fast, but I'm just asking this question. Is there any advice you would give, because now you're on the legal side of things? I know you're trying to be a lawyer and stuff like that, and you're working with prison reform. Any advice you would give young black men walking into an interrogation room, being young, without a lawyer, and knowing that they're innocent?
Stop right there, because that's the advice. Don't talk to no police, especially without a lawyer. I'm gonna say that again. Do not talk to no police, especially without a lawyer.
Do you ever regret that day?
Because you don't know what you're walking into. It don't matter if you're innocent. You don't know what you're walking into. So because you don't know what you're walking into, right? And because unfortunately there is a such thing as, you know, corrupt police or crooked cops, right? Don't open yourself up or leave yourself vulnerable to the cops that would have you go to jail to cover up wrongs that, you know, they've done, or biases or prejudices that they have. You know what I mean?
And sometimes cops are just thirsty for conviction. And they'll do by any means necessary to get that conviction.
I mean, it's
because Boston had a lot of murder rates, but we didn't have a lot of solved cases of murder. A lot of cold cases.
I see where you're going, right.
So they was very thirsty to make this one right.
Right.
And they did it at your expense.
It wasn't even a matter of people might not understand this, right? But you have police that were investigating the homicide of Detective Mulligan, right? Mm-hmm. And they themselves were criminals.
Yeah.
When you illegally go into somebody's home, right, at gunpoint, legally that's called a home invasion.
Yeah.
Okay, when you put them at gunpoint and then you take something of value, that's called armed robbery.
That's what happens,
right?
when niggas do it.
And so there was detectives investigating this case that were going into people's homes doing that, right? Robbing them of their hard-earned money, right? That was investigating this case. And so it's like that's criminal.
Moving along from that situation. You're attending your cousin's funeral, and they come to get you. Another vulnerable point in your life, or you're at your vulnerable stage of your life, where you're at your cousin's funeral. I know they said those helicopters. I don't know if you felt it that day, that you felt like they were coming for you. How was that experience? You know, being arrested at your cousin's funeral.
Man, it's to this day I really don't really have closure. And I'm not even sure if it was closure or if it's just like healing. But
I thought it was.
I mean,
I watched that documentary. I was
man,
like, I feel like them motherfuckers did that on purpose, bro.
Yeah.
They waited. It could have been the day before the funeral. It could have been the day after the funeral. But they chose that day to embarrass you.
Yeah.
You know, a day that was supposed to be for you to, you know, get your last words, your healing.
Exactly.
You know, your closure.
Some kind of closure. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And they took that from you.
Right. Right. And then, you know, I lost my firstborn nephew when I was incarcerated. And I couldn't go and get closure with that. You know what I mean? So that was taken from me. I'm saying my old foundation, my dad passed away while I was incarcerated. I'm saying I couldn't go and get closure with that. There's loved ones that I lost during those 22 years that I spent incarcerated that, you know, I don't really have any closure with. I'm saying that's so when I make a post on social media and I say I'm trying to heal from the inside out, or I go on a Jim Browdy show and I speak about trying to heal from the inside out, like that's part of the healing that I'm talking about.
Understood. That's deep.
You know what I mean?
That's deep. And so you go through that. You get arrested. You know, the day of your cousin's funeral. What's going through your head? You're being charged with murder, you know, of a cop, Mulligan, that you did not kill. What is going through your head?
So it's like a processing. Like I was a teenager. I didn't understand the weight of what they were doing to me. Like I didn't understand that.
It didn't make sense to you.
No, it didn't make no sense to me. I didn't understand. I didn't understand it. I knew that what it meant to be arrested, but I didn't understand what it meant to be arrested for the murder of a cop. I didn't understand what it was to be framed, set up. You know what I mean? So there was no way for me to fathom, to really comprehend what was going on at the times. It's kind of like you just, like, all you can really do is ask yourself, like, what the hell's going on? But me being a 19-year-old, I asked myself what was going on, but my naivety was saying that everything was going to be all right.
Everything was built because you didn't do it.
Right.
So that happens. You're going through trial. You're hearing things about yourself that is not true. You know, people are telling lies on you. People are turning on you. What is going through your head as a 19-year-old facing a murder trial of a Boston police officer in a racist city?
I don't even know how to answer that, bro. As far as what's going through my head. Like, I know how I was feeling, and the way I was feeling was, you know, scared as hell. I'm saying confused as hell, not knowing what was going on. But, you know, I had two attorneys and kind of had to put my confidence and my trust in them in the system. And again, thinking that everything was going to be all right.
Those attorneys that you had for your first, you know, case, they reached out to you, or those are the attorney that you chose, or was that public defenders?
Yeah, there was paid for by this program, this organization called CPCS.
And they seemed that they were confident. I forgot the lawyer's names.
Yeah, Norman Zelkine and David Duncan.
They seemed like they was confident in you. Mm-hmm. You know, and it was ready to fight for you.
And they did what they could to fight for me.
Yeah.
You know, they knew that I didn't have anything to do with the murder of John Mulligan, and so they did what they could to fight. But it's like at the time, now not only the district attorney's office at that time, under the leadership of Ralph Martin at the time, they, along with the Boston police, and really the court, the judge himself, didn't allow me to gain access to the information and the evidence that would have claimed me at the time. I'm saying, but you know, I don't want to get into the legalese so much, because you know, we're talking to lay people. But there's this thing called Rule 14, And Rule 14 really says that
Educators.
that a defendant is entitled to exculpatory evidence, and exculpatory evidence is evidence
You're a smart brother, Sean.
Oh man,
I would say, but you too smart to be called a
Nah, man, it's when like I had to fight for my life, bro. Like they took my life away from me. Like they understand this for a second, right? Because you know how we go to school and we learn about slavery and we're learning about our ancestors being hung and whipped and trying to run away and getting caught and being whipped. They put me back in a modern day condition of slavery. Like ponder ponder our ancestors coming over on a slave ship in the bottom of the slave ship, coming across the ocean and being brought to a shore that was not their home, right? They did the modern day version of that to me.
They definitely did.
You know what I mean? Did. So I had to fight for my life back.
And while you're going through, trial number 1, you're found guilty. What is your emotions like? You being 19 or 20 during that time at the conviction, knowing that you may face the rest of your life in prison. Like, what is your energy like? What do you think? Are you thinking it's all over?
I'm 19 years old. I'm a kid because I'm not processing.
Still not processing. Even after the guilty verdict, you're still not processing.
I'm not processing. I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm present in what's going on. I don't understand the weight of what's going on. I'm 19 years old.
So what about when you got in the in the jail?
What I can tell you is that I was confused because I didn't know what was going on. Like it was. I got convicted in 1995. It was around after somewhere around 2000. I remember calling my former attorney's office and asking him yo, how did I get here? Explain to me how I got here. And he went until a jury found you guilty, but it's explain to me how they found me guilty.
Doesn't make sense.
But look at the time. I got convicted in 95. 5-6 years later, I'm calling my attorneys saying, listen, we need to have this. I don't understand this.
And that shows you being a youth and really not
processing.
Yes, your mind's not developed like that. You're not really not understanding what is going on.
Right.
So let's talk about round 2. Trial 2. You got another fight coming up. How you feeling? So
my first trial that I went to was in 94. You got to remember, I went through 3 murder trials in less than 1 year.
I'm gonna pour some Henny because it's deep, Sean.
I wish I had some more.
You don't need it, Sean. This is deep. Go ahead, brother.
But I went to my first trial in 94. Like I was saying, I sat through 3 murder trials in less than 1 year.
Wow. 3 murder trials in 1 year.
3 murder trials in less than 1 year before the age of 21.
That's a speedy trial, man.
Before the age, it didn't feel like it. It didn't feel like it. But it's my first trial. I was found. Well, no, my first trial there was a mistrial for the murder and armed robbery. And
so the first trial was a mistrial.
For the murder and armed robbery.
Okay, I thought the second trial was a mistrial.
No,
the first trial was a mistrial.
Yeah, so I had three charges for the first trial.
Okay.
There was murder, there was armed robbery, and there was possession.
Okay.
Right.
Possession of a firearm.
A firearm. And for the murder and the armed robbery, the jury was hung, meaning it was a mistrial. And so they brought me back to the trial a second time, also in 94. Either in 94, 95. I want to say it was January 95. I could be wrong though. And then I was and the second jury was also a mistrial. That jury also. So
trial
hung.
1, trial 2, both of them are mistrials.
Right, both of the juries hung.
Okay.
And then,
so during this time, you feeling like, hey, even though I didn't beat it, two hung juries on both trials. Like, they gotta find me innocent.
Right.
They don't have enough.
Right. Not even they don't have enough. It's the
There's
jury.
nothing.
The jury is seeing through the BS.
Okay, through the bullshit.
Exactly.
I'll say for you.
Right. I'm saying it's the jury seeing through it, and so it's I was ultimately convicted when my third trial came around, and my first trial deliberated somewhere around 8 days. Then my second trial, the jury deliberated around 5 days, and then my third trial, I want to say they deliberated for like between 3 and 5 hours.
3 and 5 hours.
And sentenced,
That's fast.
And found me guilty, and I was sentenced to spend the remainder of my natural life in prison. Meaning that I was not legal. I was sentenced to never get out of prison until I left prison in the box.
Wow.
Meaning dead.
Wow. And during this time, even though you haven't missed trials, you're still in jail.
Let me say that again. As a 21-year-old, as a 21-year-old, I was sentenced to spend the remainder of my natural life in the custody of the Department of Corrections, never to leave until I left in the box, meaning that I was dead for a crime that I didn't commit.
Now, at the age of 21, you're convicted of murder trial 3.
Mm-hmm.
Is things processing at this time for you, knowing that you're gonna leave here in the box potentially?
No.
It's still not making sense for you.
Nah.
Because 21, you're still young.
Still young.
And watching that documentary, you know what I loved about your mother? I never met your mother before. One thing I loved about your mother, when she asked you about, did you kill that cop? And you told her no, she was riding for you. And that's the special bond about mothers.
Yeah.
That, you know, like, they're just with you. And it's like, this is what it is. And they're there with you through the end. And even while she was battling her addiction, she still was there with you.
Right. And the thing about parents is parents know their children. They know their children. They can tell the world anything they want about their children, right? But they themselves know their children. They know what their children are capable of, and they know what their children are not capable of.
And you know, not to cut you off, but your uncle said something. He was like, "Listen, he might be capable of killing a pope, but not no cop." You know, so when even your family knows you, you know, like, there's no way Sean Ellis could have done something like this.
Right, but it's like I definitely want to get back to my mom though. You know what I mean? It's like my mom has adamantly been in my corner because she know how she raised me. Like I was one of them kids where I was in church like 3 out of 5 days a week. I was in church Wednesday. I was in church Thursday.
Going to church don't mean nothing,
Friday.
Sean. I know a lot of people went to church.
Nah, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about how my mom raised me. She raised me in a particular way. She raised me with morals and values.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, she raised me to respect law. I'm saying despite the community that I lived in. I'm saying, like, I was living in the community. I wasn't placating to the law. I'm saying, like, I knew what the community taught me. You know what I mean? But I also was raised to respect law and order. And I'm saying, like, I'm not an advocate of just people running around just committing senseless violence and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
you came from a good household.
I came from a good household.
Yeah, that's
Summing
dope.
all up, I came from a good household.
Yeah, you wasn't a nut out here, just out here.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So you're going through that. You got your mom Dukes in your corner, which is dope. Trial 3. When does Rosemary come into your life?
Rosemary came into my life where they sentenced me to die in prison. And so if you look at a burial site, right? My casket was in the grave, right? And I had lost my direct appeal. And so dirt was being thrown on top of my casket.
So you thought you was finished. You thought you was out of here.
I knew at that time that I was in a fight for my life. Like, I knew that I wasn't giving up. I knew that I wasn't gonna stop fighting. But I knew at that time where I was fighting from. Like I began to understand what was going on once I didn't have an opportunity to have the system kind of work for itself. When I knew that my direct appeal was lost, and when I knew that I didn't have, when not that I didn't have, when I knew that when the evidence that was being kept away from me, like when I started to realize that stuff, like I started to understand, like, man, I'm sentenced to dying here. Like dying means I'm really gonna die in here if I don't fight.
So you notice that the cards are being fixed. The cards are stacked against you. You see what's going on.
I noticed
you
that the system wasn't gonna work unless it was made to work.
So you started to take control of your own life.
I had to, and that came with the process.
So did you reach out to Rosemary, or she reached out to you? How did it work?
So the lawyers, certain lawyers' names rings bells inside of prison. And
her name's still ringing.
Her name was
was
one of the names that was ringing bells. Just over the years, and I remember the Sean Drumgo case. And she was Sean Drumgo's lawyer, and he too had been set up by some people within the Boston Police Department, some detectives.
This shit been going on. That also was a 90s case?
That was also a 90s case. There's a bunch of them. There's, Ricky McGee, who is currently incarcerated, serving life without parole, and Daniel Keeler is on his case, and interfered with some of the witnesses and evidence in his case. There's Stephen Pena, out of the 90s, that's incarcerated, serving life without parole. Even though he was recently able to test some DNA evidence that said that he wasn't the assailant, but he's still incarcerated, serving life. You know what I mean? So that there's a whole time. There's a whole time frame. Excuse me. There's a whole time frame in the 90s where the corruption within the Boston Police Department was rampant. And that time frame, as time, there needs to be an investigation into those cases that was produced by cops that we know are corrupt. Like, the Daniel Keelers of the world, the Kenneth Aceras of the world, the Walter Robertsons of the world, the Kenneth Bears of the world, and the countless others. What is his name? Kenneth Dorches and there's a whole list.
The list goes on.
There's a whole list.
The list goes on. The corrupted cops.
And I say
Boston.
that. And I say that not to throw no shade, right, on nobody's name, because that isn't what it's about,
there's
right?
Some good cops out there.
But no, there's definitely some decent cops there, right? But when how you say, I see your name on transcripts?
Yeah.
When you see a cop's name on transcripts and the name doesn't add up with the evidence of the case, right? Then you can start to make the discernment, like, yo, this cop right here is no good.
He's no good.
And it's that premise that I'm speaking of. I'm not just throwing no shade. I'm saying
you're just speaking the real.
It's just facts. It's just real talk.
So Rosemary comes and she joins your case. Are you feeling any life now? Are you feeling that you're getting out of this grave? Dirt's coming off that casket.
So Rosemary came on a case at a time where I had to be, like, I had begun working on myself, getting knowledge of self. Dealing with the 5%, the nation of God, God's and earth, and just getting knowledge of who I was as a person, who I am as a person. So I had already begin to understand what I was dealing with, and the fact that I needed to advocate for myself, and my advocation led me to her. Seeing her on the news and hearing her name around the prison system, I constructed a letter to her, and told her about my situation, and she wrote me back saying, "Listen, it's gonna take me some time to come see you."
And you was patient.
Yeah, yeah. And it was something in me telling me to be patient. Like,
And you knew she was the right one.
I didn't know she was the right one. Well, I believed within myself, like there was something inside me that told me she was the right one. It's like that manifests over time. And one of the biggest things with Rosemary in her law office, just the different attorneys that I've dealt with in her law office, there was a relationship. There was back and forth conversations.
Yeah, that's key. That's key.
It's definitely key because I've heard of countless stories where you have defense attorneys that don't listen to their client, don't want to hear from their client, but
they just want you to please. Some attorneys just want you to please.
Some attorneys just want you to please. I'm saying not all, but there are some that want you to plead. And one of the problems that defense attorneys have is they're underpaid. They're underpaid. They don't have a lot of resources. They don't have as much resources as the Commonwealth has, and so they're at a disadvantage.
And why do you think Rosemary believed in you so much? Because she wanted to fight for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing about Rosemary is she calls it as it is, and so when she came to see me, we had a conversation, and then I was getting up to leave, and she said, "Let me ask you a question." I said, "What's up?" She says, "Why you?" And that was the first time that I had really been asked that question that bluntly by an attorney. You know what I mean? And so we had a conversation. I told her I was young, I was black, and I admitted being there. Other than that, I don't know how to answer that. Like I didn't have no run-ins with none of these cops. I'm saying, so it's like,
why you?
Tell me why me.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. So, shout out to Rosemary. She fought for you.
Definitely shout out to Rosemary.
Yeah. She was on your side. Today, you're with me today. You're at BNF podcast. You're a free man. Free man. Do you feel free?
I'm fighting still. Back in December.
How does that make sense? If you're acquitted of murder,
right?
Of the cop, of the alleged crime, how are you still fighting a gun charge?
Right.
That makes no sense to me.
Right. Which is why I'm free but fighing.
So you're not. So technically, you're not free.
Right. I'm free from the incarceration. Of prison, the physical prison. But I am still incarcerated within a situation and thus still fighting. Because I'm fighting to clear my name all the way through. And I definitely have to take an opportunity. And I would be remiss if I didn't, because you gotta
speak on it, brother.
Yeah, you gotta speak truth to power, if you will. I definitely want to give big ups to DA Rachel Rollins in the position that she took, her office took, but her in particular.
Is that the new DA?
That is the new DA of Suffolk County, who ran on a progressive platform. And one of the things about her,
and she acknowledged corruption and
right. Check it out though. One of the things about her campaign is she ran a people's campaign kinda. The people seeing mass incarceration not work. They seen the war on drugs not work, and they seen the war on crime not work. Right, and those wars are really what led into mass incarceration. Mass incarceration just didn't happen. You know what I mean? But Rachel Rollins, ran on a progressive platform. But my situation wasn't a situation that necessarily fit into the platform that she ran on. The issue with my case is about justice. The fundamental issue in my case is about fairness and justice. And Judge Carol Ball found out that there was no fairness and justice that was done in my case, and 7 members of the SJC found out that there was no fairness and justice that was done in my case. So back in December when I filed my motion for new trial on the possession charges, you know, Rachel Rollins as a district attorney, and what her morals and principles were as a district attorney, what she stands on as a district attorney in terms of justice and fairness, wasn't questioned. It wasn't in question. It was, she had a situation that needed to be spoken to before the world, and it was, are you going to perpetuate this cover up, or are you going to deal with it in a way that speaks to and reflects fairness and justice? And she took a stance and really spoke out against the corruption within the Boston Police Department in her own office.
That's dope.
And most people wouldn't do that.
That's courageous too.
That's definitely courageous. That's the mark of a leader. And so I definitely want to speak to that reality there.
I want to speak about you today, Sean Ellis. What are you fighting right now? Do you feel like you're finally at the finishing line? No. Because I haven't been exonerated of these firearms yet. So I still have to go in front of a judge, despite the fact that there's already been a Superior Court judge who has found that there was no fairness and justice done in the case, and the state's highest court has found that there's no fairness and justice done in the case. And the same evidence that we presented to the courts as to the murder and armed robbery is the same evidence that is now before another Superior Court judge. So we have to go before him to make the determination as to whether. But you did also have an opportunity to get time served and not even deal with this anymore, but you chose not to. And it brings me back to The Wire. My man Marlo, my name is my name.
Right.
Sean Ellis. Right. How important is that to you?
Yeah. I was recently talking to, my uncle and my aunt, and they were speaking to me about.
I would have gave in. I would have said that. I just want to be free. I want to go to Bijou with no problems, man. Kid, I already did the time, Sean. You a different dude, man. You're really a warrior, brother.
I'm not a big, overly religious person, but the Bible does say something about the road being traveled. The narrow road is the road that's traveled by few. It's just how my mom raised me, man. Like, she didn't raise me to admit or accept things that I didn't do. As a matter of fact, man, there's some lessons, man, that I kind of got at a very early age, where within my own household, I was me and my sister as siblings got into a situation, and we have different dads, and her dad wanted to reprimand me, and I felt as though he was being unfair to me. So I said, nah, you can't give me no spanking, man. I'm not letting you spank me, man. You know what I'm saying? So my mom ended up calling and saying, listen, what's best for you, you better let him deal with you before I deal with you. And I told my mom, all right, I'll let him deal with me. But when I hung up, I was like, nah, you still ain't dealing with me, man. You know what I'm saying? But my mom had got home and had found out that I disobeyed, man, her direct orders to be dealt with, and she wanted to deal with me. But I told my mom, like, nah, you ain't gonna do that. You ain't dealing with me neither. And so she ended up calling my dad. But the point is just like very early on, I had to stand up for like what was right in my own life.
I respect that.
And I did so with a bad speech problem. Like, I had a real bad speech problem, man. And but even still early on, I learned to stand up for myself.
Yeah, the truth is the truth at the end of
exactly.
the day. It don't matter how you speak.
Because I didn't do nothing in that deserved the beating, man.
Yeah. And what's going on with you today? You know, you got the Netflix documentary out. Did they reach out to you for that, or?
So the way that came about, they reached out. They had heard about my situation, and reached out to Rosemary.
A great documentary, by the way.
Yeah. Painful documentary. Painful. I when that documentary came out, man, it was painful. It wasn't, still is. But it's things like this that provides, some sense of therapy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm looking for.
That's dope too.
I'm looking for somebody to holler at, man. I haven't found the right person yet, but I'm looking for somebody to holler at, man, because there's a lot that I'm dealing with, man.
No, I understand. I understand. This is not easy. It's not easy. And you're like a celebrity, man. I'm pretty sure the ladies is after you, and a lot is going on.
Listen, you don't even gotta go to.
They already got cuffed. That documentary came out, and they already cuffed you.
Hey, listen. I'm happily soon to be married. And
that's dope. That's dope. She's smart.
Man, listen,
you don't find a Sean Ellis every day.
Listen, man.
dope, man.
Yeah, we ain't got to go down that road, man.
So let's talk about what you got going on in your life right now. Prison reform is big to you. You're doing a lot right now. Can you explain to us what you're doing with your time?
Yeah, I mean, besides my domestic life and besides my 9-to-5 work, I'm definitely involved with prison reform and social justice issues. I'm one of the few people that has been kind of on both sides of this thing, and I got to one side by going through the system, and the prison system is part of the criminal law system. It's just the back end of it.
Yeah.
And so the brutality, and to some extent the corruption that exists in the front and also exists in the back. And so I've seen people jumped on and beat up by correctional officers. I've seen people provoked and antagonized by some correctional officers. And once again, not all of them are bad. I met some COs in there that was just there to do their job, and make sure that you was abiding by the rules and they're abiding by the rules, and they're just there to work. But then there are those elements in there that just like the Boston Police has Keela, Robertson, and Brazel, and Sarah. The DLC has their team of corrupt and rogue CEOs too, and so that's just the reality of it. But part of my prison reform work is to really deal with that, and there needs to be a sense of humanity that prisoners and convicts and inmates are dealt with. You know what I mean? So
that's absolutely you're right. You coming home. You came home in 2015. I just want to, before we wrap this up, how was it for you adapting to new social media, technology, how the world is today? Was it a hard transition for you or not?
You saying it was as though it's past tense. I'm saying it still is.
You still adapting.
I was just talking to my bro here about, man,
6 years later, you still struggling.
Still, it's like social media. You know what I'm saying? Technology. I like technology, but there's still a lot more for me to learn. So social media, I'm learning. I'm doing my thing, but I'm learning it still. You know what I'm saying?
Stay away from the DMs. There's a lot of demons out there, Sean. You gotta stay solid.
She stay in my DM. I'm not staying in my DM.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
You saying the right things.
Yeah, listen. She don't play that.
Before we get off, do you feel like you're a celebrity? Do you feel like do people ever come up to you and be like, hey, Sean Ellis, and how do you feel?
I mean, it's when I'm out and about I am approached by people to take pictures, and people see me at a.
Cause you a hero, man. You're an inspiration. You a fighter. You gotta know your position in the culture, man.
You know what is what I believe more so is like I'm a inspiration. It's like black and brown people have really been impressed by the system for so long. I believe that what I represent for some of them people is some inspiration and hope that the system, I don't want to say can be fixed, but man, you can fight against the wrong of the system and have hope to achieve a degree of justice. Well, whether it's criminal, finance, economic, housing, whatever it is.
Whatever the struggle is.
If you don't fight, you can't win. If you don't win,
and you know what I learned from you personally is even if the cards are stacked against you, always fight.
Believe in yourself.
You can still win.
Believe in yourself and push forward.
Just believe, and just keep fighting. Don't give up hope. Be resilient. That's what I definitely learned from you. That's why your documentary is such motivation, and to me, you are a hero. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I appreciate you so much. That's why I was happy to have this opportunity to interview a person like you, man. I think you're super dope. Bro.
So, you know what I'm saying? Just, support the clothing line.
Support the clothing line. We got my man here. Spit out the clothing line to me again.
Fly Connection Clothing.
Fly Connection Clothing. We also got the hookah.
Lounge 5 hookah.
Right.
Lounge 5 hookah. And it's also mobile. The summer's coming out.
Oh, you already know. It's your favorite fat boy.
Yeah, it's your favorite. Get my fat boys at the TV time.
It's your favorite fat boy, man. But I'm taking two, though.
Right.
Damn, all y'all taking, huh?
Man, listen, man.
Oh, my God. My nigga G in the back is saying, no, I'm out here. I'm out here in these streets.
Yeah.
Damn,
I was gonna put him out my business.
He's waiting for Mr. Ruggs in Atlanta. He's ready to go. He's ready to go. I'm throwing you out there, man.
Oh, you hard, bro.
Yeah. But I just want to say, visit my website, trial4four.com. Hit me up on the IG, Ellis K. Sean, and Facebook, Sean.
Grab that merch.
And grab that merch.
Definitely. Wounded but not broken.
And if you do hit Sean up, knowing that he's taking, so keep it respectful.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Passwords to everything.
Hey,
Sean, you just used to giving your rights away. You don't give a
Right. I'm already conditioned.
You're already conditioned, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Right, I appreciate you, family.
You're a warrior, brother.
Man, I appreciate you.
We're signing out as BNF Podcast, man.
BNF.
And I appreciate you, Sean Ellis. Dope interview, man.
Peace.
All right, brother.